Houston, we have a problem that has been on repeat in my mind for the last week and a half, really. Time is very relative right now. Thank you so much to everyone who checked in, asking for updates. I'm sorry I really haven't had one for you yet. We didn't finalize anything until last night, and then I've spent the morning looking for Airbnbs and flights and trying to figure out logistics of how we're doing this next step. But I feel like you cannot, with cancer, like until you're sitting in the treatment chair almost, you cannot share an update because it may change very quickly, and ours did again. I know that my last update, I said that we were going to be moving to Tampa to do radiation therapy there, it was still going to be the same dose of radiation, but done a little bit differently to cause less impact on my healthy cells. You can watch that if you want, because it doesn't really matter now. We're not doing it. I really didn't want to move to Tampa, but I really, really don't want to move to Houston. But that is what we are now doing. And this plan isn't changing. In the last video, I said we were planned, scheduled. I had booked an Airbnb in Tampa, and that's another story. Also, really check your cancellation policies before you book something. And if you're going for a medical reason that could change, get the insurance. We never have gotten insurance before because we just have never done that, and we should have. But that's okay. It's okay. In the grand scheme of things, small potatoes. Canceled the Airbnb in Tampa. We were waiting to hear from MD Anderson. Anyways, we were going to go to Tampa, but in the meantime, we were going to get a consult at MD Anderson, basically as what happens if this radiation doesn't work. That was kind of what was recommended to us from an oncologist that my dad happens to know. And they were just like, just go to MD Anderson if you can. Even if, it postpones starting radiation by a day or two. So we were like, okay, we're going to go to Houston. Dad, babe, the baby, and I, we flew out to Houston. We originally booked 4 nights, and then ended up having to book a few more nights because we ended up having to stay a full week. They request that you can stay a week if you commit to going out there for any tests that they want to run and doctors they want you to meet with. We were hoping to get it done in under 4 days, and it just didn't happen. Huge God thing, though, because the Airbnb we were staying at, unfortunately, it had gotten booked after us, but the host was so great. He was like, hey, let me check with the neighbors who own the Airbnb. Literally, we were in a townhouse. It was the townhouse right next door, and they had availability. So we were able to just walk our stuff right over, and that was the biggest blessing in the midst of all the chaos. But we met with the team at MD Anderson, and just, this is the most hope we've felt, really, since I first thought I was no evidence of disease. This is just the way MD Anderson, it's like a city in and of itself out there. The medical center is like a huge city, and then Houston is a huge city, and I'm not a huge city person, but it's okay. We're gonna embrace city life, and Houston we will be at for at least a month, and then we will be taking it from there. But the doctors at MD Anderson, they work really interconnected with each other, which my doctors up until now, they talk to each other, they do the tumor board, but really every area has kind of been its own little thing. Like the oncologist was like, okay, here I did the chemo, now you go talk to the radiologist, radiation doctor. I need to know that, I need to get their specific name right, but the radiation doctor, go talk to them, they do the radiation. That person's like, okay, you need to talk to the surgeon now. Here's the surgeon, and you talk to the surgeon and they do their part. but there's not a lot of like interconnected discussion, where at MD Anderson, they like the interconnectedness between all of the different disciplines was really cool to see. And then MD Anderson is just, they do cancer. They've got a lot of resources and studies and trials and things that they've done that have worked. They've seen, I mean, while we were sitting in the waiting room, I saw someone else that was missing their eye. I saw someone with a missing nose. Like, they take complex cases, and I am apparently a very complex cancer person. But we go out there, we meet with the surgeon, is like the kind of the head of my team, even though I'm not doing surgery and probably won't. Then we met with the medical oncologist as well as a radiation doctor. I am going to start chemo and immunotherapy. I will be doing a combination of the two. I will do one day at the infusion center. They'll do the immunotherapy and one of the chemos, and then the other chemo I will go home on a pump for 4 days. Then there will be a little break, and 3 weeks from the first infusion date, I'll do that same exact thing over again. And then they will rescan to see how things are looking. And as long as the cancer has hopefully shrunk, or at the very least stayed the same, then I will do that exact same protocol 2 more rounds, and then we will figure out what's next, which will most likely be radiation, but not, it's called like SBRT. That's probably the wrong acronym because we haven't gotten fully into that part yet, but it's another localized, it's like very focused radiation, and it would be 3 to 5 sessions max. They just don't think even after the immunotherapy and chemo that surgery, at least like surgery to remove the cancer, will be an option. Because while we were out there, so we meet with the first doctor, the last PET scan and MRI I had was about 2 months ago. And so they were like, let's just order a new one. They really are, they also want like their like machines, their tests. I'll get into that. I'm like, sorry, my brain is all over the place. So this might just be very scattered, but they ordered another PET scan and then another MRI that was going to be a little bit like more detailed than even the detailed one I did here. So they do the MRI first. We get those results back, and it says, 1, that the tumor has grown a little bit, and then 2, that there's evidence of more cancer, and then there's suspicion of cancer in a right lymph node, which that, sucks because so far everything's been on the left. But it's still considered localized. It doesn't mean it's metastasized. It's still in my head and neck region. But we were waiting on the PET scan, and we finally received a call from, so while we were out there, we meet with the one doctor, we do the PET scan. We then, on another day, meet with the medical oncologist. Then we meet with the radiation doctor. We have the PET scan. And then the last person I had to meet with was the oral oncologist, which they just ask everyone that potentially may get radiation or who has been through radiation to see, just to see like the health of your teeth and your jaw and all of that. And thankfully, teeth are good. Great. Yay. Yay, teeth. But then we flew home and we waited to hear something. We were hoping to hear on Monday we were hoping to hear on Friday before we even left Houston. We did not. And so we just got on a plane, come back home, kind of like, hopefully they don't ask us to come back for another appointment on Monday, which they didn't. They we finally got an update on my chart saying we had a scheduled call for last night, being Tuesday night. And the doctor called me, the medical oncologist, because he's kind of now leading the team since immunotherapy and chemo is going to be the course of treatment we're doing. But he was like, I can start you as early as Wednesday, meaning a week from today. He said, I would really love for you to come out here and us be able to treat you out here just so I can, keep an eye on things. And if there is an emergency, you're here. But with the chemo and radiation, it's not like a special sauce that only they have. He could send the cocktail to my doctors here and I could do my treatments for the immunotherapy and chemo here. They just request that I come back there for the scans because they want to basically compare apples to apples as opposed to like doing a scan in a machine here, even though it's technically the same scan. Like, they would really like it to be in the same machine, the same level of detailing that they used the first time to see really apples to apples how things are changing, which I can completely understand. So in my mind, I was like, great, I can do my treatment here. We'll go back up and fly up there for, another week for scans and then come back to the next rounds of treatment. But after one, then like my poor nurse navigator here, I messaged her. She was at home. It was like 7:00 at night. And I was like, hey, here's what's going on. Could you potentially get it started to possibly start chemo here next week? And she said, I'm going to do my best. But they couldn't guarantee that I can start next week because they have to go through all the, the insurance and the authorizations and all of that. And in my mind, I was like, well, what if I do my first round out there and my second round out here? And that was just my own brain wanting to be at home in my space. Called my dad, updated him, and he was like, so we recorded the call, shared it with my parents, and when I called my dad to discuss it with him, he's like, I think you go to Houston. Like, you just go to Houston. That's where you do your care. That way, there's consistency. The doctor can see you in real time. If you do have a reaction to, because I've been on the 2 chemos that they're going to put me on. I've already been on those. But the immunotherapy, Keytruda, is new to me. I've never been on it. And while it does have less side effects than chemo, it can still like cause your immune system to go into like haywire overdrive kind of stuff. And so he's like, that way you're there, they're monitoring you in real time. The team out there is able to, have hands-on address the situation. You have the ability to go to Houston, just go to Houston. And apparently Babe, that had been his gut feeling too. And honestly, when I was talking to the doctor, it was mine, but I was trying to just be like, no, I can stay in my home where I'm comfortable and do my chemo here and it'll be fine. I can take my kid to swim lessons. I can do all these things. And in reality, I mean, people do it all the time. If you are working full time and also trying to do your cancer treatments, my heart is like, you are killing it, like rocking it. Because I remember what it was like last time, and I think my brain has like tricked me into thinking like, you went through it, so now you know what to expect. You can work around it. And I, like, in reality, I'm like, this is it's gonna be hard. But you've done hard things, and you can do hard things. But thinking about having to try and fit it into work schedules, like, would be a nightmare. So we're very grateful that we have the ability to go to Houston, and I need to remember that. I may not like city life. I may not want to be states and states away from my home, but God has a place for us to go to get the best care, and I'm grateful for that. Because it really seems like this is the best option for a cure with the least impact to my body, and that's what we've been wanting. Andrew was really scared about me going through radiation again because that's what almost drugged me under the first time. And so the thought of going through more of that was just really, I think, scary for both of us. And we both just feel a lot better about this plan. And we're just kind of, sounds like my kid's not going to nap today. We'll see. I might have to get off here in a second. But we just both feel really good about this plan. My dad feels really good about it. My mom does too. The team out there just, they were just very direct, but also worded things that was the best explanation of my cancer I have heard yet. The best explanation. When we spoke to the medical oncologist last night, I mean, he said very matter-of-factly, like, you know, it could be that we're looking at two different, like, the scan 2 months ago was done in a different machine than the one we have here. But it's enough different to know that that's not why we're seeing a difference. Things have gotten worse in the 2 months that have gone between scans. So I need to get started as soon as possible. And they feel like they have a really good chance. Obviously, they cannot guarantee a cure, but they are going to do their best to try to cure it. And he explained it to me really well. He went over my mutation report. I have the protein or whatever they needed to see how I would respond to immunotherapy. My number is high, which is actually a good thing. It's high, which means it's high cancer. But high numbers respond better to immunotherapy because if you're low, it's like your body cannot necessarily distinguish between the cancer and your healthy cells. Whereas my body is saying, yo, high, this is an issue, this is cancer. And so the immunotherapy will target it, attack it. And then the goal of the immunotherapy is that it trains my body, unlike chemo, which just like targets the cancer and all of your body and kind of, you know, the immunotherapy uses your own immune system to train your body to target the cancer if it tries to grow back. So, or tries to continue growing. It's like telling your body, this is not right. Don't let this thing in, or don't let this thing become an issue. So that is the hope and the goal of the immunotherapy. And they're doing it in conjunction with the chemo too, to get rid of what's there, because immunotherapy alone isn't necessarily curative, I guess. I may be explaining this all wrong. Immunotherapy is more of like a suppressant, but it can shrink tumors. It's just not usually going to completely get rid of them. It can, and they're really doing a lot of studies about immunotherapy. The more they learn about it, they're hoping it will kind of revolutionize and change the cancer game going forward, so that your only options aren't just chemo and radiation, which wreck your body. I feel like this has gone all over the place. So this may not answer very many questions. It may have given you more questions than answers, but that's the plan. Immunotherapy, chemo in Houston, and taking it a month at a time. We are planning to book, we have flights. Babe is going to drive the car out there with our sweet cat and my mom and her dog. And then Dad and I will fly out Monday with the girl. And then my parents will kind of go back and forth, and we are planning to stay for the month at the very minimum until we find out what's next. So, yeah. Trying to think of anything else cancer related that he said, other than, I have a very complex cancer, but I should respond really well to the immunotherapy. Oh, and then I do have 2 mutations, but that's just like okay, if this doesn't work, they know that those mutations are there. There are drugs for those mutations, but he hopes he does not have to use them. The hope is that we cure it and don't need that medication, and there's that. I am going to get a biopsy while I'm out there on the lymph node in my neck. That'll also tell them if the cancer's morphed at all or if those mutations are still the same, and give us another, insight as to what the cancer is doing and what it's looking like now, because the biopsy that they're all going on for right now is my initial biopsy that was done in 2023. And so this new biopsy will give them, updated information. So I'm going to have to go get my kid. She is like, yo, Mom, I'm not taking a nap. But that's the update for now. I don't know when I'll update again. It's, like I said, it's been a whirlwind. It's about to be a whirlwind again, until we get settled out there. I'll try and keep updated on the community post. If you have Instagram, I do kind of sometimes keep things updated real time in my Instagram stories. So I'm on Instagram as Life's Sweet Journey. For anyone who wants to follow along there, like I said, I do real-time updates, especially like when I'm in the chemo center at infusions. That gives me time to sit and like kind of update while I'm trying to entertain myself for hours while I get, pumped full of stuff. So that's where we're at. No plans of any to address like the hole or anything surgically with the flap. That won't be addressed until all of this is, figured out. So just taking it a step at a time, really just trying to remind myself. I have a mantra that I say, says, my heart is calm, try and take a breath, my body is capable, my baby is strong, and God is in control. And I'm just trying to hold to that. It can be hard to remember those things sometimes, but we've gotten through a lot of crap, and we're going to just continue to go with it. So also thank you to everyone who sent things off our wish list. Like somebody messaged and was like, hey, I tried to get you this, but it won't ship, and there was nothing left for them to pick from, so I had to update the list. But thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Like, you don't know how much that means to us, just the support and the help and the prayers. The prayers are just so welcome. Even the wish list was hard for me to make. We never expect or would ask for anything, but prayers and just thoughts for healing and all of that. So thank you. I am sorry if this was just but that's where my brain is right now. So, all right. Bye, everybody. Houston, here we come.